Hi, everybody. It is February 27th, almost the last day of February. I didn't, I kind of missed some of these readings that I wanted to do in the middle of the month. I think Valentine's Day and that week, I ended up doing a bunch, but the energy hadn't shifted really. And I don't want to just be over here yabbering away about the same old thing. So there is a shift coming up, another shift. And unless you've been living under a rock, there's a lot of big things happening globally to the collective and politically and in every other way. So it's a little bit interesting um, when you look at some of those bigger energies that are happening globally, and then you bring it down to the individual. So, one of the cards that came up the previous week, so I teach a class online through the Tat Lab, and it's called Using the Tarot as a Tool for Self Actualization. And it's tarot, I mean, it's typically a tarot kind of um, study, but it also has that Jungian symbolic interpretation as well, in the same way that you would analyze dreams and symbols in that way. Um, colors, color associations, idioms, all of those kind of things. So 2 weeks ago, the card of the week was the Page of Swords. And we've been getting a lot of pages. Pages are typically messengers, and they deliver information in a variety of ways, sometimes in a very practical, tangible way. And in other times, like with the Page of Swords, it's information that we are receiving through our intellect or in a spiritual sense. So it can often represent information, channeled information, or um, thoughts, impressions, communications from another realm. It can also be, your soul family, your guardian angels, your spirit guides, all of those things, archangels, whatever it is that you believe in. It can be communication on that level. It can be like a gentle nudging from the universe. So that happened. And then this past week, from Thursday on, the card that I got was the Four of Pentacles. And everybody sort of understands this on a material level. It's about actually living in abundance in a balanced way in whatever it is that you're doing, in whatever ways that you're trying to seek balance and harmony. But the fear comes into play where you stop being balanced and trust that you are living in the flow of abundance and that everything that is actually meant for you is accessible and you will receive it. And she's clutching her purse here, and this card is often depicted with a city or town in the background. She's sitting on a balcony or a veranda, and she's holding that very tightly, even though she has plenty. So it's finding that balance between saving for a rainy day, having enough to put away, that just in case, um, not being foolhardy, um, taking some manageable risks, but not being foolish with expenditures. But then, how does this relate to other things, other ways in our lives? And okay, in a practical sense, it's very obvious. It's still not easy to always balance those things, but it's a very obvious concept that we're used to dealing with regularly. In terms of relationships, this card represents calculating how much you give and receive with other people, giving love, receiving love. How many love points am I giving to you, and how many am I receiving from you? That kind of thing, which really negates the whole feeling of love. Love is not a thing that can be calculated. If you are overextending yourself, that is a personal thing. It is not about the other person. If you do not value yourself, and you're being taken advantage of, you're allowing for that to happen. So all of those things are represented in this when it comes to something that's not money or financial material related. And then we look at what is happening right now in the world. We are all part of whatever it is that we are seeing out there. We are on the planet at this particular time because war and all these negative things are part of our consciousness. We've chosen to come here at this time, even though we may not have caused these things, but they are things that are part of our collective experience. So how do we deal with that? How do we fight that? Is fighting against it a high enough vibration? Or do we send out love? Do we stop fighting? Is the energy of peace about no longer fighting or defending, is to simply raise that vibration high enough that people who are fighting, whoever you see as your oppressor, and I'm not talking in the macro world there, I'm talking about on an individual level, to not participate in hate, aggression, things that are not peaceful or pleasant. Yeah, so that's what we're coming into this with on a personal level. How do we interact with that? So I've cut the cards here, just about to shuffle, and we have these 2 10s. Let's get this. Okay, we've got the 10 of Cups, which is the maximum emotional fulfillment. It is that happily ever after kind of feeling. It's not completely grounded in reality, because the practical aspect of this isn't here. But this is the feeling that you want to embody. It's that comfortable, blissful, harmonious, peaceful, trusting, comfort, support, friendly energy at its maximum. It's the maximum. If it could go up to 11, it would, but it only goes up to 10. And then the other one we got is the 10 of Swords. And the 10 of Swords, put it here, is, the end of being finally ready to walk away from all of that, all of the anguish, the anxiety, the confrontations, the oppressive situations, to actually be able to walk away and walk into the light. You can see all of these birds up here. It's a lot of communication. It's things taking flight. Swords are symbolic of air. It's an air suit, air sign. And when you get to the 9 is all about anxiety, not being able to sleep, having recurring thoughts, nightmares even in some cases, ruminating over things. And then when you get to the 10, it's like it's at its maximum. It's ready to reset. That becomes a 1. That 1 and 0 becomes a 1. And we get to that point of some form of enlightenment. Interestingly enough, we have that Page of Swords underneath. So getting to that higher vibration. Okay, so I'm just going to shuffle these. We've got nothing retrograde this month. Millie and I are going to do the deep dive Astro Tarot forecast tomorrow. And that will be, the link for that is below. So thank you everybody for liking and sharing and subscribing and all of your kind messages and letting me know that this resonates with you and when it resonates with you and how it's affecting your lives, giving you perspective. The Sun. Okay. I'm actually going to do a Celtic cross for the collective energies this week. Nothing's flying out either. So these are very, very grounded energy here for this. Bottom of the deck, 7 of Pentacles. I wasn't even going to use this deck initially, but here it is. So a little boost of caffeine before I get going. Here we go. Very interesting. I'm sick of hearing me say interesting. Okay. There is a lot of balanced energy coming. Okay. So what's in everybody's mind? This is in a similar way to that 4 of Pentacles. This is the 6 of Pentacles. This is the state of mind. This is the collective mind that we're in right now of trying to balance. There's an infinity symbol there. The stuff that you put out comes back to you, but it's not necessarily like a one-on-one give and take. Everything is energy. So you're putting things out there to the world. You're holding a door open for somebody. You are cooking for someone. You are letting someone in front of you. You're putting in so many hours of work. You are being very diligent in the tasks bestowed upon you. All of that sort of thing. You're trying to, maybe learn a new thing, increase your knowledge and awareness, whatever it is. Maybe you're going to the gym, maybe you're part of a team sport, and whatever it is, all of these little parts of you putting energy out there with the positive intentions, you are receiving what is fair back to you. So this is a very karmic type card, and this is in your intellect right now. It is in your mind, in your headspace of, oh, I notice when I do this, this and this and this happens. So you might be putting energy into something over here, and yet something from here comes in to reward you or match your efforts. Okay. The present environment, and this is, we're in Pisces season now. It was my birthday yesterday. It was the how can I say this? How good is your math? It is my age. No, how can I say this? Today's date multiplied by 2 minus 2 minus 6 times 7 multiplied by 1/10 of the states in the United States. Yes, That is my birthday. That's my age. So this character, the Queen of Cups, is the Pisces energy. And we've also got a new moon in Pisces coming up. It's going to be wonderful energy. There's a lifting of this heaviness. I almost feel like a headache coming through, but it's almost like a reverse headache. It's like the stuff, when you have a tension headache and there's like an outside pressure hitting you. This is almost like the pressure coming from within is about to burst out into this higher realm. New moons are always when we can manifest something, when we start making a projection of what's on the inner world, our inner self, and putting it forth into the universe to begin to manifest it. Part of her is underwater here. And that's, part of the Pisces energy, but it's also those deep, deep emotions, those deep feelings. It's also illuminating the shadow self, everything that we see out there, all the negativity that's out there. And we think, oh, this is a government or a regime or a system or corporation or whatever. It is in our purview. And if it's negative, we have to look at the negative within ourselves, those deep emotions within ourselves. As we begin to open that up and lighten that up, everything on the outside also shifts. And the crossing card is the Chariot. And it's, again, balancing the dark and the light, everything in divine timing. Things can change in a blink of an eye. Species adapt in a blink of an eye. They go through a long period of stasis. Something happens and they adapt or they die. And it happens with ourselves. It happens with viruses. It happens with evolution in general. What we've got as an overarching energy for this reading, we've got the Three of Discs. And there's like a childlike cooperation here. And even in a way, this thread that's running in the background almost looks like an infinity symbol. And it's like, go, stop, and caution, just like our traffic lights. What I find interesting about the depiction of this in this card, it is about teamwork, but these are sort of childlike figures. There's a younger child and maybe a teenager, and then maybe a father figure up there, and they look pleasant and happy and relaxed, and yet they're part of a team. So it's like, you don't need to know all the answers. You just bring to the table what you're able to do. Maybe all you're able to do is, arrange some chairs somewhere, take out the garbage, whatever it is. I don't know what it is that you're doing, but it's that feeling of, you don't need to have a PhD in something to be of assistance in a group. It's not how big of an impact you can make on your own, but all the little things that you can do that you actually are able to do. Do what you are able to do as part of the team, as part of the collective, with a light-hearted, cooperative intention. I've got this one again. The divine feminine empress energy. We've got this gestation, and it's in this card. It is the earth. It is the Mother Earth. We have the moon, the phases of the moon. You have this empress energy, this angelic energy, the divine feminine. That is the era and the energy that we have been trying to embody as a collective for months and months and months now. Okay, and we've spoken about being patient, and I've likened it to gestation. You cannot actively, hold on, I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. Tweak my thoughts. So the Empress energy is passive energy, and the Western world has a hard time dealing with passive yin feminine energy. In fact, it demonizes it. We're supposed to be active and doing, otherwise we're lazy, we're not productive. All this language about production, even when you think about resources, human resources, natural resources, it's all commodity based. It's taken the life out of something. Gestation, a lot is going on. When you think about any species gestating, like a human, okay, that's the easiest thing that we can probably relate to. There's a whole lot going on, and you are not mentally telling your body to do all these different things. The body knows what to do, and you have to just feed it, take care of it, do whatever, and let it do its thing. It's very passive in a way. You did the thing that launched this, and now you're waiting. But it's not waiting, not doing something. There's a lot happening. And this is the divine feminine energy. And we seem to still have a hard time with this. So when you think of Mother Earth, are we taking care of what is gestating right now? Just a question. So this is the foundation where we are. This is the foundation of the reading right now. So the immediate past, this is a card that has been showing up for so many, I think practically, 95% of the personal readings that I've done lately. The Eight of Cups is a very prominent feeling. And it's walking away from something that we put a lot of effort into in the past. We've been emotionally connected to it. It served a purpose, or we thought it was the thing that we were supposed to be doing, whether it's relationships, whether it's career, whether it's, a particular avenue in a career, putting effort into a particular person, situation, whatever. But there's sun here on the horizon. We don't know what's on the horizon until you get over there. But there's a feeling when you think of this combined with the Ten of Swords of like needing to let something go, taking a risk. There is a risk involved because we don't know what's over there. The truth is we don't know anything anyway. There's so many options. Every single choice that you make is going to create a different possibility. So all these different timelines, all these overlapping energies, you only have the illusion that you know what you're doing by taking certain course of action, but you don't really. It's just, we tell ourselves that, I'm doing, A, B, C, D, and it's going to equal E, and that's how it goes. It doesn't actually ever happen like that. If it does happen like that for you, I'd like to know. I'd like to know your secret. Then we have another 8. So immediate past, we have the 8 of Cups. Immediate future, we've got the 8 of Wands. This is the convergence of a whole lot of energy coming. Wands are fiery energy. They're not just about information and intellect. This is inspiration. This is where we add that extra, that creative spark. And creativity is passive feminine yin. Okay, so with that kind of communication coming at you, in this particular deck, I really like it because there's this sort of magical feeling. It's like wands. It's like magic wands showing up together. The potency of that information is increased by all of those wands converging together. So all of this might not be pertinent to you. The information that comes to you at this time in the next week, next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's very hard to tell time with this. Probably for, the month of March, really, it will linger. The vibe of the new moon, now that I'm thinking of that, Pisces, the Pisces, Virgo axis. We've got the full moon then in Virgo. And so these are opposite energies. It's like a duality back and forth. So the information, we actually have a lot of that, come to think of it. We've got the Chariot has the duality, the Six of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles has this infinity looping around. You are We have this timeline, we have that timeline, and we are usually in that middle spot where everything converges. Okay. And even when you look at the number 8, the 8 is like an infinity symbol. So, yeah, we've got a lot of 8s happening here, actually. So it's kind of symbolic of that vibe. Okay. That infinity loop. And we've been in a loop, and many of us have been in a loop that's going on for decades. And we had that happening in the fall from like August all the way to the end of January. And lots of things from the past resurfacing, people from the past resurfacing, lessons we thought we learned resurfacing. So, this 8 of Wands coming in, that energy coming to you is, do we need all of it? It's going to show up. It's showing up. It's amplifying all of it. It's illuminating everything together. So take advantage of that and go like, okay, I've got all of this creative energy all at the same time, loads of information, lots of communication. All planets are going direct. There's really nothing hindering me. How do I clear this? How do I use this magic to my advantage? Which parts of this do I need? You probably don't need all of it. And that's one of the things with the 8 of Wands. You don't need all the information that's coming at you. Some of it's not relevant at all, and some of it just enhances other information that you do really need. So it's a little lesson in discernment of trusting. Again, there's this feeling of trust as well throughout this whole reading. I think moving into March and moving into that energy of that new moon. So by the time we get the Pisces full moon, many moons from now. Okay. So the future environment is the 4 of Wands, which is half of the 8, in case you didn't notice. There's this celebration happening here. These are 4 pillars of this tent. Okay, festivities, sunlight, this beautiful sunset happening. These 2 are dancing, they're enjoying themselves. It's typically the foundation of, a happy home. It's a precursor to, traditionally it was like a precursor to a marriage card, like an engagement or some kind of celebration that leads to a bigger celebration down the road. And you might be thinking, hey, have you looked at what's happening in the world? I don't feel like there's anything to celebrate. But then that's giving into that side of fear and victimization and hatred and despair and urgency and all of those things. If we focused on this, if we shifted into this consciousness somehow, and I know that is a really difficult thing to do, especially if you are personally touched by the things that are happening out there. But it's on an individual level. How do we get this feeling? How do we bring this, when we're bringing this into our environment, when we are bringing this into our home, into our relationships, into our workplace, then we are basically squashing all of that oppressive negative energy. That's what we're doing. When we are striving to create this, we don't do the other thing. There's no room for it. Not belittling the situation, but that's the vibration, sitting in that place of, if you're not in a position to deal with that big situation, how do you deal with it in the microcosm of your immediate environment or within yourself, within your body? Now, the influence of the people around you, friends and family, co-workers, whatever, neighbors, there's this little piglet here flying with this bowl, and he's floating up there. It's very lofty, childish ideas. There's these 2 hands here making a little heart. There's this, it's pages are young, they're immature, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's unjaded. How do you remove the cynicism when you're dealing with other people, especially the people that are not like you, who have opposing viewpoints or positions? How do you transcend that in a childlike way? Yeah, when pigs fly, but then there's no way to reconcile those opposing forces if it's that far away. And then before the outcome, we actually have the world here. We look at all of these sacred symbols, sacred geometry symbols. Okay, interdimensional. This is not a 3D card in this sense. This is not in this physical dimension. This goes into the 5th dimension. When we're up there, that is the place that we manifest. That is reality. It's the 3rd dimension here with the, width, length, depth. You think it's real, but it's full of deception. In the 5D, that's where reality takes place. That's where you manifest things. That is where you have bliss and enlightenment. That is where your sparkly being is. Because in the 3D, we're all wearing masks. They're not the ones we've been forced to wear. This is a mask. We are not the sum of ourselves. We are some energy in behind that. And that's what the world is in this particular case. And so the outcome, potential outcome, is it is actually taking that risk of waiting for the right wave to come in. And you don't know how you're going to do out there on that surfboard. It's nighttime. It's a nighttime surf, which must be really awesome. The sky's lit up. She can still see. It's windy. How do you catch that wave? Okay, trust. Okay. Let's see a little bit more about that outcome. Timing card and some permanence here of that outcome. Obviously, the 3 of Wands is not a permanent card. Nothing's permanent, but it doesn't have longevity. Okay, well, this is interesting. Along with that, 2 cards came up, so I don't think either of these are timing. So more about that outcome. Okay, so you're taking a risk. I just got goosebumps. So that 3 of Wands, is about taking a risk. And along with that, okay, so we had the Page of Cups, that very childlike, coming from that sort of innocent place of like where, everything is possible, like unicorns and Santa Claus and everything's fine, which is a little delusional also, but at the same time, it's magical. So the Knight of Cups is coming with an offer. There's an offer. Maybe it's you making an offer. Maybe it's you leaning into something and saying, maybe you're the one taking the risk, or it could be the other way around. And the King of Swords, we've just finished this Aquarius season. We're very new into the Pisces season, like 7 days into it, 1/4 of the way through. But there's still this vibe of sitting up high so that you can see clearly. Okay, this is very balanced energy here. It's clarity of thought, taking a risk, planning enough to take that next step, to take this step out there. Just see if we can get, timing. Timing is something it's not a linear thing in the way that we've made it out to be. Yeah, and we've got a sword card, so swords are really indeterminate. Yeah. So once we do that, there's a lot of self-care that still has to happen and a lot of anxiety. So it's not like it's a fix. It's it's not going to be fixed. And the fact that there's no timing showing up, and it's 222 right now. There's no timing showing up. So it's not one of those things that I can say, okay, so you're going to do this, and then this will happen. You'll take this risk, and you have to trust, and it'll be good. And then boom, 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 everything pans out perfectly, and all the bad people go away, and you live happily ever after. That's not the way it is. There's going to be lots of anxiety, lots of second guessing, um, even more need for self-care. All this time, during COVID and everything, um, it's hard to think of it this way, but it's just a preparation for all the self-care uh, that you're going to need for what's coming up, and how to break through those barriers that keep you from other people, that keep you from healing, that keep you from transcending, so that you can actually live a better life. Um, how do you simplify? It's slow. It's very slow, very slow. So this is the time where you've got nothing else to rely on except your own, your word, your integrity, your accountability, your authenticity, um, all the little steps that you take towards your goal. And you still feel like this. I don't even need to describe this. This is the way people are feeling. Okay. Sip of coffee. All right. So now I'm going to use the deck that I was going to use, the Tarot of Mystical Moments. I really like the energy of these cards. I like the other ones too, obviously. So that's the first deck is called the Lightseer's deck by Chris Ann. She's got multiple decks. She's got the Muse Tarot, the Curious Creatures, the Sacred Creators. The Sacred Creator is an oracle deck. It's not a tarot deck. So we got a repeating card here. Just looking for more clarification on what the energies are like this week for the collective. These ones want to jump out. Yep. Okay. That's it. First card in. Let's get that there. 9 of Cups. Wish fulfillment. Many, many cups. More than you need. Very content. Happy. Can be a little self-indulgent. But unlike the 4 of Pentacles, where there's this hoarding feeling, this is where it's like, I've got so much of this or this or that, whatever. I'm in a perfect place to give something, whatever that is. It could be time, it could be energy, it could be compassion, it could be soup, clearing out your house, realizing that you have an excess of whatever, and lots of things are in working order and you don't use them. Could you donate? Can you give things away? Can you help somebody else out with the abundance that you have? Good week to do that. Plus it creates, when you declutter, you really stir up the energy in your home, in your space, in your work environment. Declutter, clear out things, throw away things that are old or broken or whatever, and then give away, bring new life to something else. Maybe you have something that needs to be refinished or refurbished and you would use it. You can do that too. Then it creates a void and the universe will fill it, usually with abundance. So there's still this feeling of the Five of Swords. There's a brokenheartedness to this. There's a feeling like a victim, victimization. And yeah, and right now it's 0227 at 2:27 p.m. So that's a powerful thing. You know, how do you get out of victimhood when you are being victimized? Like in a legitimate sense. Okay. Judgment. So this is like the final judgment. She's angelic and she is sounding this trumpet. There's this divine presence, this divine knowing that things will be made right. And so, you know, when we go back to that passive energy, that passive Empress energy, divine feminine energy, it's not, do not confuse passive with being apathetic, passive with being lazy, but passive being receptive. When you think of passive income, okay, try and find other meanings for that passive. Not being complacent, it doesn't mean that either. Okay. And then we have the beginning of something. This is a very positive ace, the Ace of Pentacles. It is really about getting to the root of a matter, the beginning of a sum of money, new job, a career path, something tangible in whatever way. And the new moon is coming up. So having the Ace of Pentacles for the new moon is a very auspicious card. It's an auspicious energy to embody. And then we have those Three of Wands again from the other deck. Okay, so she is part of that mountain. She's like this Rapunzel. She's holding that ship. There's a firm foundation here. And again, there's illumination on the horizon. And she's looking, where do we put that ship so that it can sail out? Okay, there's some planning. There's this waiting for the right moment, but not waiting too long. And then the Ace of Cups. This is leading with love. It can be a new love, a new start in love, opening your heart to love, the heart chakra, finding that thing, a renewed sense of whatever the heart can open up to, increasing the capacity for love and compassion. And then the Death card. It's really beautiful in this deck. I mean, all of the images are beautiful, but death is always depicted as a death and rebirth. There's always a symbol of bones or skeletons or something dying and something transforming. So this is transformative. Okay, so there is rejuvenation, new life, breathing new life into something. We look at the two of these together. The Ace of Cups, renewed love or new love, and death and rebirth. And the Three of Pentacles again. So just like in that other deck, in the Light Seers deck, where the kids were there helping this, it was some kind of macrame thing hanging off of a ladder or whatever. Okay, so it's that teamwork and building something. They're not even the same species. There's like, is she a tiny person or are these giant birds? I don't know. But there's something of reconciling all of these forces together and working together to build something. Okay. I'm going to use the Spirit Oracle. You know, there's a heavy energy out there, rightly so, but there's nothing in this reading that's heavy, and that's the thing to focus on. Okay, so 2 cards flew up, and we've had this. We had this on Valentine's Day. Passion. I'm going to read it again. Love, sexual energy, passions aroused, vital life force, Kundalini, the sun, giver of life, strength, a gift, new infusion of energy, something beyond your control, surrender. So a lot of it is beyond your control, as it always is. So what do you focus on? Where do you put your energy? Where can you transmute that energy? How can you transmute that energy? Are you spending your time right now fearful? There's a lot of stuff that we're not able to control. Okay, so are we sitting in fear, worry, desperation, anger, hatred, anxiety? How to transcend that, how to pull in a higher vibration and transcend. When you transcend, you will transmute the lower vibrational energies. And if you're not in a situation where you are being directly impacted, then really muster up the strength if you have to join with other people to do that, to raise that vibration on behalf of those who can't, then now is the time. It's going to be amplified. Silver vibrations. Okay, this is tiny. So 1 second here. It says your Okay. Your vibration is being raised to a higher level. You may be feeling that you are in this world, but somehow not of this world. This is the magic of creation at work in your life. As silver starlight enters your aura, your energy field will become finer, giving you a stronger connection to your spirit and bringing greater purpose to your life. Cannot make this up. I'm gonna pull some runes here. So things are, when you think of ice, rivers flowing, we've had ice here as well. The temperatures were cold, we get this little second winter. Sirens right at that time. So things are frozen. There's it might feel like a stalemate situation, but the ice doesn't stay forever. It does melt. The ice is also good for certain things. When you think of a frozen lake or a frozen pond, it allows you to cross over. You can walk across. You don't need a boat. So there's positive aspects to ice. So when things are paused, things are stopped, things have come to a halt. What is it that you can do? What benefit does it serve you? What benefit does it serve? Sorry. Okay. And then we have need. So it's a straight line. It's not an X. It's a vertical straight line, like Isa. Okay. Like Isa. I know these are hard to see. So it's a straight line with a diagonal line coming through. That is need. Okay. And it is literally that. What is it that you need versus what you want? So whatever's happening to you, trust that this is what you need. If it doesn't make sense to you, if it's frustrating for you, if you feel that everything is frozen, there's a reason. And you have to trust in that reason and try and find that reason. Be like, oh, the pond is frozen, the lake is frozen. Does that now allow me to cross over? Am I supposed to cross over? Or am I not supposed to enter? You know, what is the reason for that? So the third rune is Wunjo, joy. So we have ice. So everything's delayed. There is a big delay happening. Things are frozen. What is it that you're doing in that time? You're currently getting what it is that you need versus what you want. And what is coming up? What is the result of that? Joy. Joy. So that's not negative. I think we are all looking for joy. I'm supposed to do one more thing here. Let's see. I'm gonna pull one of these. These are not, I've said this before, they are not my favorite cards in terms of how they are written. However, they've often seemed fitting. So we're just going to see. Hold on. Okay. That's the card. The number 31, which is 4. Okay. Maybe that light was too bright now that I switched it off. Because the daylight is changing. So when I do this at this time of the day. Okay, let's see what this is. I have to read this from the little book because these are very different cards. Okay. So this is the totem, and the word is belonging. So number 31, the totem, belonging. A totem is similar to a heraldic emblem of our family or clan. It may be a simple pole carved with the mythical story of a people. A totem can also include plants and animals and may be used to tell a story marking a specific event that is meaningful to a group or in some other way describe a collective identity. Sometimes they are revealed during rites of passage or initiation via vision. Totems represent the powers and protections provided by being part of a group, as well as the responsibilities and obligations of all members of that group. The messages. Okay, this is very interesting. So we had that 3 of Wands show up 2 times, right? Okay. That uncertainty of when do I head out there on the water? When do I put my surfboard in? When do I place the boat into the ocean? Okay. We also had the 8 of Cups, walking away from something and walking into an unknown future. Okay. So the message is, when you are uncertain of which action to take, look at your own totem, whether personal or shared, acknowledge your core beliefs and act accordingly. The key words are belonging, guidance, support, roots, family, the past, origins, safety, long-lasting commitment. And the time frame. So a lot of these cards are like the time frame is like Tuesday or 3 days or a week or autumn or something like that. The time frame of this says 1 to 3 years. Very interesting indeed. Well, that's what I have for you today, for the collective. I think I'm going to do another one a little bit later about maybe more specific things, the collective. Um, yeah, just some different things. I don't think today I will do all the different signs. So, like I said, tomorrow Millie and I are going to do the Astro Tarot forecast on a different, it's still through YouTube, but it's on a different channel. The link is below. Please like, share, subscribe. If this resonated with you, there's also a Patreon link if you want to donate to my coffee fund. It's always greatly appreciated. And probably Wednesday will be the day that I do all the different signs for going into March, at least for the first 2 weeks anyway. I think it'll be a week or two. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, thank you for being here.